Welcome all terminal passengers. In this episode, we'll talk the NBA playoffs and what's worth watching. We'll also touch on our favorite ESPN SportsCenter duos, but first, in the words of a bald orange man, commerce.
Since 1994, one name has echoed through the courts, fields, and arenas of New Jersey: Jersey Sporting News. As a credentialed media outlet with over 25 years of experience, we've earned accolades from those we cover at every level. Jersey Sporting News, celebrating New Jersey sports for over 2 decades, and we're just getting started. Let JSN become a member of your family.
Hello, hi, and welcome again to the terminal at JSN Station, possibly part of the Jersey Sporting News Podcast Network. We have 4 passengers from flights around the Garden State and beyond, including one similar to Tom Hanks in the movie The Terminal, who can't seem to leave. Chris, what country won't let you back in it again?
Krakosia is the country from the movie, so I'll say that.
Okay. I am not the captain now. I'm only your host, broadcasting high above Civic Center Station in downtown Atlanta. There are 4 new passengers waiting for flights home and ready to entertain, or is that ready for flights home and waiting to entertain? It's entirely too much to think about. So let's go around the room from left to right on my screen. When asked, let me know where you're flying from and the best wide receiver from the 1980s, not named Jerry Rice. I'll start with you, Matt.
This is Matt Wright from the friendly confines of Lawrenceville, Georgia, where I have the almighty light shining down upon me, providing a glare for everybody to see. Great question. What best wide receiver from the 80s not named Jerry Rice? I'm gonna throw. I don't know if it's a curveball or not, but I'm gonna go Steve Largent.
Okay.
It's really interesting.
That Josh.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm
asking. Go ahead.
sorry.
Where are you
I'm
flying from?
4 miles from the garden spot of the world, Teaneck, New Jersey, right near where you grew up and Chris grew up. And the best wide receiver in the 80s. I think it's got to be Phil McConkey. It's got to be Phil McConkey.
Okay, all right.
Big touchdown when it mattered. I mean, what's better than that?
That's true. Ed?
Navy vet.
Josh is already on my bad side for stealing my answer. No, I kid. I'm gonna go. I really was gonna say Phil McConkey, but I'm gonna go with John Taylor.
And
San Francisco,
where you're
the other
flying
side.
from is what the other part is.
Oh, I'm sorry,
fine.
Brooklyn, New York. My borough is thorough. Sorry.
Chris, where are you flying from? You want to give the wide receiver question a glance?
I am flying in from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and the answer is Arthur Monk.
For those new to the terminal, each question will have 4 choices. Each passenger already has the question and the answer, and after the tally to said question is done, anyone in the minority will have a chance to defend their selection. After they have their say, those in the majority will choose someone to explain why the minority is wrong, and will debate until a consensus is determined for a final answer to said question. Sound simple? So let's begin with what's happening on a big screen here at the terminal and in every bar across America, the NBA playoffs. I'm not asking for winners, who's going to win the series, who's this and that. I'm asking which series do you actually want to watch? So much so that this would be the only series you'd be able to watch, and everything else you're catching a 2-minute highlight reel that's on the local 6 o'clock news, and that guy is doing the commentation for it. So that's all you're getting from the other 3 series. So the best of the series you want to watch: Denver, Minnesota, Boston, Cleveland, Dallas, OKC, New York, Indiana. Josh, which one you got?
Carolina, New York. Is it wrong?
Carolina.
I'm okay with Dallas and Colorado also. Look, of those 4, the only one I semi care about is the Knicks. The rest of them I really don't care about.
Right, so then,
but that guy Anthony Edwards is pretty good.
Well, so you're only watching the Knicks then. Ed, what about you?
There's one I'll get into that. I can be swayed into another one, but I'm going New York, Indiana.
Matt?
See, I'm changing my answer because initially I was saying OKC and the Mavs, but how can I not go with like my Knickerbockers, man? I'm going Knicks Pacers.
And Chris?
This is gonna be fucking boring. Yeah, I'll go with the Timberwolves and whoever the hell they're playing. Timberwolves Nuggets. Just so we have discussion.
Well, once again, look, I get to play. I get to play off the fact that there's a bunch of Knicks fans that want to watch the Knicks.
Okay,
you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss. Am I right? Because Josh, you said Knicks.
This was my point, though, with originally going with like OKC and the Mavs, because that's a fun ass series to me, because it's just like you've got so much athleticism and you want to see if Luka's just going to fall all over himself. But I can't really stray too far away from the Knicks. And if I can never watch the Knicks,
you can watch. You'll get your local sports guy will give you 2 minutes on the Knicks, and that's all. Like, and when I mean that's all you can watch, you can't go on YouTube and watch the highlights there or anything like that. The only video you're going to get of this series is that little 2-minute blurb, and that's it. So Ed,
I was really torn between the Mavs Okie series, because I am fascinated by that. They're a very youthful team, Oklahoma City. They're a lot like a college team. A lot of these guys would be juniors and seniors. They play like a college team. They stick together like a college team.
They take interviews together. There's like 4 or 5 of them all hanging out for the.
They got a commercial together.
Interview. Except for Josh Giddey and that A minor incident, to take a Kendrick term, I love this OKC team and how they click like a group of college guys. You could tell sports at the end of the day is a business. It's still work. It may be a dream job for all of us, but you can tell they have fun coming to work, and you can see it in the energy and you can see it in the play. On the other side, you got Luka, who is already got a championship pedigree from the EuroLeague. People in America may dismiss the EuroLeague, but this kid was winning championships at 16, 17 for Real Madrid. And then Kyrie, I'm a little biased as a Nets fan. I'm a little hurt by the Nets fan, but that's the Kyrie we wanted to see in Brooklyn and never got because of the pandemic, and then his anti-vax views, and then his Amazon collection of videos. And so I think that clash of this championship pedigree in the backcourt versus this youth, on paper, this is the better series. That said, and I think everyone agrees here on this, because of the rivalry, because we're older cats, and even with younger dudes and gals, because they also watch sports, but Knicks Pacers, there is a history there that can't be denied. Reggie Miller being there at ringside calling the game adds more to that bochincha, to take a Puerto Rican turn. It adds more to that drama. It's messy. And so I think that's why we're all leaning in that direction, besides our East Coast ties. But on paper, it's OKC Dallas.
Can I defend my pick, since I was the one that went against the grain?
You did go against
it
with OKC Dallas, so go ahead.
I mean, the only reason to watch OKC Dallas is to see if Kyrie Irving snaps an ankle. That's the only reason to watch.
That can't be a reason.
I mean, everyone for a year and a half.
Anytime you got James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook on the same team, it's got to be exciting. Throw in Serge Ibaka, they're great.
He's quoting the Oklahoma City team from 2012.
We're in the wrong year.
They're not still on OKC.
The reason it's Minnesota is you do have now the 3-time MVP and defending champions falling apart with the ascension of what everyone thinks. And listen, I know Ed's going to jump in with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's great. But everyone has said, especially two-way player, that Anthony Edwards is ascending to the best player in the league and gonna be for a 7-8 year period probably. So to watch his ascension and him lead that team, I mean, if you watch the series at all, that dude has, I don't mean to use these terms, but Jordan-esque or Magic-esque leadership skills where he's
appropriate in this case,
and that's absolutely
appropriate.
these are all great points for other things. So and you picked OKC Dallas. So once again, I know there's possibilities for people to
No,
get
he
swept,
picked
but
he
there's
picked
still
Denver.
two.
He picked Denver.
He picked
Oh, you
Denver.
didn't pick Denver, so you picked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. So the Knicks is the majority then, because
Yeah,
Josh,
that's why I was
you picked
defending my
Knicks.
pick.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I know, I've heard, I understand. So anybody,
I
Josh, you want
mean,
to defend watching the Knicks?
well, because all I read about in all my timelines is the Knicks, so I watch to see what's going on. But to be honest with you, there are few things less watchable than the last 5 minutes of an NBA game right now, with the amount of challenges and nonsense that goes on. Like it's ridiculous. And the quality of play is just. I mean, honestly, you don't have to watch the first half. Um, I'm just out on the way they present the game now versus how it's been in the past. I think the athletes now are clearly better. I think there's guys with skill that are better, but just some of the things around the game, I just don't think it's as enjoyable to watch. And really, I generally don't watch until the finals.
This is another topic for
Well,
another.
it was
yeah. Because I wholeheartedly
I
disagree.
agree with that shit.
I wholeheartedly disagree
I
with all
disagree
of it.
with his overall point.
that-
I think the playoffs are great to watch. He's right about the last 5 minutes with all the challenges and stoppages. It's interminable.
Okay, so all of that's well and good, but the point was, so, so what are you going to watch? So Josh is watching the Knicks because he's going to get in his timeline. And Matt, as a Knicks fan, you said you're going to watch the Knicks. That's the majority. Ed, are you going to get swayed to the majority of watching the Knicks and only being able
He
to see?
said the Knicks. Are you paying fucking attention?
Not
Lay
really.
off the weed, to quote Stephen A. Smith.
Again,
Holy shit.
it was close for me, but I am going with the Knicks because of the history. But I was torn about it in Dallas. I'm still sticking with the Knicks.
So that's the majority. And Chris, I'll leave you here at the terminal again because I wanted to move on was the reason why I got to that, which is the short highlight was what ESPN brought and was, I don't know, in the 90s, that's what I grew up on. I'd go to sleep with it on, and then I'd wake up to the repeat of whatever, the 2 a.m. one that kept going over and over and over again. So I asked a bunch of old people, your favorite 20th century SportsCenter anchor duo, and there's 8 names, and I might have mixed up a couple, but it's Bob Lee and Linda Cohn are just the really old heads. If you got them on a Sunday morning, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann, which was what the Big Show, Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen, which kind of was the right afterwards, and then Carl Ravitch and Craig Kilborn, because I think some of us are still old enough to remember Cal Kilborn for that short period of time. So,
Yep.
Josh, which deal are you going to take?
I would say Chris Berman and Tom Mees. They were excellent.
I'll take that one as an old one then. Ed, how about you?
I go with Bob Lee and Linda Cohn.
Matt?
I'll go with Ravitch and Kilborn.
Chris?
Well, I'm the deciding vote here. I was gonna go with this anyway. I'm gonna go with Patrick and Olbermann.
Well, Matt, I'll let you explain the brief run that was Craig Kilborn and Carl Ravitch.
I'm a fan of Kilborn. I like the deadpan humor. I like the humor before it got really fucking ridiculous, out of control. It was kind of original. It was fresh. I like the presentation. I like the banner between both of them. I like all those duos personally. For me, you couldn't really go wrong back in the day with SportsCenter. They did it just really well. And everybody brought something different to it, a new perspective. But I'm a Kilborn fan. I don't know how many people are, probably not that many, but that's my pick.
All right. Chris, you were a minority as well.
Okay, we were all minors. We all picked 4 different ones. Again, pay attention.
No. They both picked old ESPN. I logged Josh's pick into Bob Lee and Linda Cohn because he named people that were old school, first generation.
If I had to pick the rules either, but
well, if I had to pick a second one, I would have said Patrick and Olbermann because they were
Patrick and Olbermann Patrick and Oberman are Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. They brought it into the mainstream, into the zeitgeist. And then I would say Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen, while personally not my favorites, they became the Michael Jordan. They made it a rock star thing. But Patrick and Oberman saved ESPN and gave it its signature program when it needed it. It was not floundering, but it was 10, 11 years old, and they made SportsCenter pop.
I'd also vote for Neil Everett and John Anderson, who were very good.
But as Matt pointed out, Kilborn was able to jump off, make a career off of this, and it floundered, but he was able to go and become a just off who else, and which is what Patrick and Oberman followed up doing, but they followed in basically what Craig Kilborn had started. Ed, you did not pick Kilborn, but I see you nodding your head.
I mean, I thought Kilborn was very funny. He just obviously had this wit about him that translated into other things. I think he went on to do Comedy Central and late night talk show. But I went with Bob Lay and Cohen because I understand the entertainment value of the others. I'm a nerd. I'm actually boring to talk sports with. And to me, Bob Lee was like the professionals. And Linda Cohen, not to get all feminist, but she had to work harder than everyone else. So she had to prove that she belonged there, especially in that era. And so she always came with it with the facts. She always came with it with the stats. She always came with it. And she had a personality to boot. Maybe not Oberman, maybe not Kilborn, but it worked. That seriousness for me worked as a nerd. And that's what I loved about it. I lean more towards factual and information than entertainment. At the end of the day, it is show business and it is about entertainment. So if I were to be swayed, it'd probably be Oberman and Patrick's because
you picked Bob Lee and Linda Cohn. Chris, you picked Dan Patrick and Keith Oberman. Matt, you picked Carl Ravitch and Craig Kilborn. Josh, as the one person who did not pick a direct of the list that was given, are you swayed to go to any of those that are selected by your fellow passengers?
Patrick and Oberman.
And so why would you say that?
Because I think they were the quintessential group. They took SportsCenter from a very provincial show and made it nationally popular. They're the ones who really had to take off. I think, and they both spawned huge media careers from it afterwards also.
And Chuck Knobloch hit Keith Oberman's mom with a errant throw to first base during a playoff game.
I remember that, yeah.
So there's that.
I think, and I can be swayed in that direction because Oberman, and I understand Oberman's become a shadow of what he used to be, especially going into politics. And Dan Patrick's is now Howard Stern light.
We're not, but I'm not talking about them at that.
Fair enough, but what I'm saying is they have the deadpan comedy humor of a Craig Kilborn, but they did it for a longer time. They did it at a higher level, and they push, as Josh said, this kind of local East Coast thing into a national spotlight. So I can be swayed into that direction.
Matt, you good with the Big Show?
I guess I could be swayed as well with Keith and Dan.
It is just Keith and Dan. I'm gonna move on and say that that's a sweep, which because I want to say Keith and Dan are in one of these movies that is the question I'm gonna ask. It's not the best movie based around college athletics. It's the best of these four selections of movies based around college athletics. And as I say that, I believe Keith and Dan are in The Waterboy because they're in, right? Because they start talking about, I want to say Patrick talks about him jumping over people and everything like that as Adam Sandler does in that movie. So that's one of the movies. The other ones are Necessary Roughness, The Program, and Blue Chips. So of those four movies, Chris, which is your favorite? Which is the best of those four?
Well, Josh is going to pick The Waterboy. I already know that. Um,
No, that's the least.
um, I've been wrestling between the program and blue chips because, and Matthew and Ed don't know this about me, but I spent 10 years working in Division I college athletics, and the program and blue chips have a lot of realism to it, but obviously to a blown up extent.
Yeah.
But the one that has the most realism to it, which is why it's my favorite, is blue chips.
Blue chips. Josh, since you were told you were going to pick the water boy, are you going to pick the water boy?
No, the Waterboy the Waterboy is the only one that would not be in contention for me. I'm surprised Chris didn't pick the program since they filmed it at South
They did.
Carolina.
They filmed it S.
Uh, for me, I think blue chips, like Chris said, is probably the most realistic. But I mean, how do you go? How do you go against? How do you go against Quantum, the guy from Quantum Leap, and Sinbad, and
Happy
Rob Schneider
Ireland.
as the announcer? Yeah, Kathy
Happy
Ireland.
Ireland.
Scott Bakula is his name.
Scott
Yeah,
Bakula.
Fumbleia, Fumblerooski, all that. I mean, it does. Necessary roughness for me is Jason Bateman's in it.
Ed.
Top shelf.
I had no business playing high school football being 5'5", but I played high school football. My choice is the program.
Matt.
Blue chips. Easily for me.
So the program Josh, you've already told us about necessary roughness. I don't think there's much to add about that. But Ed, I believe you had the
What's his
program,
name's in
right?
it too?
Because
Larry
Ed,
Miller. Larry Miller plays the crooked dean. I mean,
yeah, he does. He does. Um, Ed, you want to
I
talk about the
remember.
program?
Yeah, I remember playing high school ball. A lot of guys in my team, some of them wanted to aspire, or not wanted to, they aspired to play college ball. And, it's football is a copycat culture. And so a lot of the stuff that we saw there, some for the good, some for the bad, was being copied. Like that scene where the running back that has fumbleitis, and he's going around the university
Holding
with
the
the
football in his
football.
arm.
And every time someone tries to pop it out, it's fumble. Like, we kind of did stuff like that in high school with the football, with and so to me, it was such a big part of my childhood. Plus the realism of having, I didn't get to cover maybe college sports at the level that you did, but I understand the realism. Again, there's a kayfabe aspect of turning the notch to 11. But both that movie just so indicative of what college football was like at that. I think it was based a lot in some sense of like Florida State, especially in the colors. And so Latimer, that monster, when he's cracking all roided up through the window, like those things did happen. Like,
starting defense.
Yes, starting defense. Like, starting defense. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm quoting the program because I know the program. I was gonna say I know that movie. Yeah. But
that was probably
blue chips.
That was probably also Omar Epps' best. One last thing, that was probably Omar Epps' best movie outside of Juice. So
no, it's the end of Omar Epps' sort of run, but that's
whoa! Major League 2.
I was watching it last night, Josh, thinking about you. Major League 2.
Jeez.
Matt, would you like to say anything about blue chips? Because both you and Chris picked blue chips.
Yeah, no, I mean, no. I as someone who is not as intimately familiar with like D1 the way Chris might be, or Chris is, not might be. But back then, to me, that was a really good depiction of like college basketball, the whole recruiting process, and even throwing in Nick Nolte as Bobby Knight Light, where he was a little over the top, but that probably that probably added to it to me. And then just being able to add like Shaq and Penny at that time at the height of their like collegiate abilities, I think that kind of put it over the top for me.
All right, I know I didn't get an answer to that, but I'm going to close here because there's
I forgot about Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky Rowe and Biondo. Yeah, that team doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to close here.
The team they played against was legit with Bobby Hurley,
Calbert Cheney.
Yeah.
I'm going to close here with a trivia question, and since we just finished and started with the NBA, we'll finish with one of the greats of the NBA who's rarely celebrated, Calvin Cambridge. I could go on into the plot of Like Mike, or how Emmy Award winner Eugene Levy was sent a check for this 2002 film about an orphan, a pair of shoes, and Morris Chestnut becoming a father. The total budget for this film.
Oh, this is your favorite fucking question. Fucking total budgets.
No. The total budget for this film was 30 million, most of which hopefully was paid to the NBA Players Union, because according to Wikipedia, how many former or current NBA players at the year 2002 were featured in Like Mike is the number that I'm looking for. And since you screamed and wanted so much, Chris, you want to go first? No, I'll let you simmer. Ed, what do you got?
Yo, is this the little Bow Wow joint?
Yes, this is the little Bow Wow movie. How many NBA players, current or retired at that time, were in the movie?
I would never put any money in little Bow Wow's hands. I'm gonna guess 10. I'm mad and offended by this question.
10, Josh.
You couldn't ask about Air Bud or Air Bud 2?
Unfortunately not.
I'm gonna go with 69.
This is 69.
Number.
This is Price is Right rules. Matt?
I was gonna say 10, but since Ed took it, I'm gonna say 6.
6. Chris, so 69, 10, 6. Chris?
First of all, I've never even heard of this fucking movie. Second of all, whatever money did get paid to the Players Union, Glenn Big Baby Davis would have stolen it. And that's very timely since he was sentenced.
It is.
Yes, it is. It's very yes.
And next time you ask about an old time basketball movie, it better be The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. I'm going to say 6.
You're going to say we already had 6.
I need to watch.
I'm going to say 6.5.
It's either 5 or 7. It's a whole.
That
number.
means Muggsy Bogues was in the movie.
Exactly.
That was me. That was me. My bad.
I have no idea. I've never even heard of the damn thing.
It's well, obviously other people have, because you're in the load here like you'll be alone at the airport.
I'm mad we're talking about little Bow Wow.
The trivia answer will be in the description for next episode. I'd like to thank all the passengers for participating today. All gates are now open, so I wish you a safe flight home. For y'all and any and all listeners, safe travels from the terminal, and good night.